that should help you guys as you're doing your project today. And additionally, hopefully it has some helpful tips as you try and enter in the workforce and try and figure out what you're going to do with your careers. So yeah, welcome to the DesignX Hackathon 2022. And this is being brought to you as part of HyperX's part and assistance in this project. I work at HyperX. So we're going to have 3 parts here, 3 basic sections here. We're going to have an introduction to HyperX and myself. We've got a part of the networking and teamwork, which will be important parts of your work process and how you guys are able to navigate the workforce and achieve what you want out of your careers. And part 3, an overlooked part, factor in your success or failures as you dive into the workforce. So a little bit of a birthday celebration for us this year. This is HyperX's 20th year of existence. Can't see any of you guys on camera, so I can't ask you guys for a show of hands for who has HyperX stuff here. But we started out with DRAM and memory, and we've moved on to making the pretty good peripherals for everything in the game space, from microphones to headsets to mice and keyboards. And we've just recently done monitors. So we're trying to pretty much maintain our presence in all aspects of the game space. We've got interesting peripherals that are helpful not only for you as you're trying to get better at video games, but most of our stuff, like our keyboards and mice, are also pretty good for when you're doing homework or you just want to have a better platform to be productive. And then a little bit about me. I started my career in the video game industry back in 1997, which is a long time ago for all of you here. You guys are far younger than I am. I'm guessing the way that I used to put it when I was working for an independent video game review site was that I'd been saving the princess longer than most of everyone had been breathing oxygen. So it's been a long career. I've worked as a game designer, a producer, a localization editor, a programmer, web designer, and I started my career as quality assurance. I've got over 60 titles shipped where I'm credited as doing work on the project. And then I started this phase of my career while I was working at HyperX in 2016. So I've been here for a little longer than 5 or 6 years, depending on where you decide to count the milestone from. All right, now let's dive into the networking process. I was hoping to kind of have notes here, but I'm not great at sharing these screens. So hopefully I can alt tab here and look at my notes without, is this showing my notes or is this showing the PowerPoint still?
You're still on the PowerPoint.
Okay, great. That's where I wanted to be. So I don't do a lot of presentations. So when it comes to bringing a HyperX product to market, we've got a lot of moving parts. Both the video game world and the world of gaming peripherals in the consumer market, they're very fast-paced environments. And like I said, I've been at HyperX for over 5 years, but I'm probably going to miss some of the phases of what it takes to bring a product to market here. But broad scale, what happens is first we'll have a market analyst or a researcher who does a little bit of focus testing, or they'll do a bit of conversation or study to figure out what gamers want out of a new product. Do they want 7.1 sound? Do they want more comfortable stuff? Do they want RGB? So they go into figuring out what we need. If it's not something that already exists, we'll try and put together a proposal for a new product. And then we'll need someone else on another team to come up with an estimate of what it would cost for all those parts that are going to take to build the product. Because if all this stuff is too expensive, we're going to have to start taking features away. So then we have to figure out what the market will pay for the product after we've figured out the cost of all the product. We figured out the profit margin that we want to make on it. and if that's viable to the market. If you have something that's super great, but it's going to cost $500 more than anything else on the market, odds are no one's going to care. So after we get that done and we've narrowed down the pricing and everything, we try to get a prototype made to make sure that everything will function as it's supposed to. And that takes a product manager. They will oversee the manufacture of these prototypes. They'll test them out. Our technical team will then focus test these prototypes. They'll tune them to the responses that we've gotten back from all of our people that we've gotten testing results from. And then after all of that is finished, we'll now have an estimation of timelines for the product and the production process and how long it will take to ship everything from point A to point B, because we don't just make the headsets here and then ship them to customers who are like in this state, in this country, in this part of the globe. There are a lot of parts that have to come from different parts of the world, and whether or not those come across on airplanes or ships, or maybe they travel on land for the parts that we do make here. That part, all of that stuff has to be worked out, because if we don't have the parts that we need in time for the retailers and e-tailers to have the headsets or the keyboards that we're trying to ship, they're never going to be able to sell them. So that's going to put us in a bit of a bind. After we've got all the timelines for everything, we develop the messaging for the product. And this is where I'm most familiar with what happens here. We then put that messaging onto the packaging, which is something that people often overlook. We then translate that messaging and the packaging into a ton of different languages, which ends up being its own ball of wax. Then we get 3D renderings of the product to put it on the packaging, to put it in some of the assets. Then we have to figure out how the product is going to fit into the interior of the box. Does it need a specific form-fitting package? Can we make it really small and just have a tiny blister pack for like earbuds or whatever? After we've gotten all that taken care of and we have the box and the final product, and we've made it as light as possible, and we still aren't we aren't getting things damaged, we have a press release, and then we send out review samples to reviewers to get them to look at it and show first impressions of our product to the world. We also get samples of these products to content creators, like people who stream on Twitch or who are streaming on YouTube, or however they're going to be able to get news out about our products. We do photo shoots. We ship the products to our retailers and e-tailers across the world. We put up a website, which here's what you guys are going to be trying to do today. We get the translated messages to all of our regions. We get all the product photos and the renderings to the e-tailers and retailers that need those all over the globe. Then we make product videos to show people what exactly our new product does, to show them the features, why they want to spend money on this. We put those videos up on YouTube. We put them up on Times Square. We put them up on TikTok. Wherever you guys see videos, we're making those to put them up somewhere. Social posts on Twitter, Instagram. We get messages out to the people on our Discord group. We create email newsletters to announce the product. And then finally, we have the product in stores where you guys can buy it. That's a lot of steps. Just by my count, that's about 20 different roles. You've got like product managers, you've got the copywriter, you've got the rendering department, you got the PR team, you have the people who deal with influencers, you have the social media team. There's a whole lot of different roles. Some of those roles are even just the same role in a different country. And that's a lot of people that need to be working together in order to make sure that we've got our end goal in sight and that our end goal is viable. If you look at the slide that I've got here, communication and cooperation between all of these departments is vital. Communication between all the people involved in these different departments is vital. One person in this process isn't going to make the thing just a phenomenal success. But if one person doesn't do their job, they can derail the entire product for a month or 2 months, or cause the product to fail. Just if someone's figured out pricing incorrectly, for example, and we think that we're selling the product at a price point that's going to get us a good profit margin, and it turns out, oh, no, this is actually $8 more than we expected. All of a sudden, we've sold a product at a discounted rate that we didn't intend to discount, and that's going to cause all kinds of problems down the line. So every step in the process can suffer if one of the parts in the process is performing poorly. And conversely, if everyone's doing their job, it makes things go a lot more smoothly. You have to find a team that you're capable of working with. You have to have established good routes, good lines of communications, and good cooperation between all the teams to make these products into the successes that they are. And I think what that's going to do is dovetail into my key topic number 1, which is networking. Now, I don't mean this in the cynical way that like Hollywood executives or people will tell you that, you got to network to succeed. I'm not talking about just making surface friendships and just having contacts with a bunch of people on social media or whatever, and then hitting them up for jobs or hitting them up for favors when you see the time is right. Actual networking means growing a network of friends and colleagues that you are comfortable working with, that have a given set of skills that they're very good at, and that people that know that you have skills and that you can perform when the time is needed. Because when you come into a workspace and you don't know all the people there, you're going to have to establish a rapport and a working relationship with all these people. Certain times you'll find that you work better with other people than you do with the people that you're currently working with, and then trying to navigate those waters can be a little bit dicey. Establishing a good network of people that you work with and working within that network can help you immensely. So just a couple bit of examples or points of interest. You guys are in high school. As you go on to college, these years that you have in high school and college are where you're probably going to meet the most people in your life. It doesn't seem like that because this is kind of all you've known, going through school, meeting a group of people, and then moving on to a newer and larger group of people as you expand. Once you get to a company, sometimes you're working with 10 people, sometimes you're working with 200, but you don't work with all of them directly. So your colleagues are going to be down to a handful of 8 to 15 people or so that you're working with. And the average career is longer than your high school and college careers. So you don't necessarily have the chance to make new friendships. You don't have the chance to make new working relationships because you're kind of buttoned into the work that you're being paid to do on a daily basis. So take advantage of the fact that you just have this, you're going to have a campus of thousands, and once you get to college, tens of thousands of people that you can meet, that you can pick the brains of, that you can establish relationships with, and that you can use to network. That is by far, it's going to be the most access that you have to other people. And I'll say that it's easy and it's safe to simply make friends with people who like all the same stuff that you like, who are into the same things that you do. But developing relationships with people who just have the same strengths as you are isn't super effective. Like I'm really good at writing and other creative tasks. I'm pretty good at some logic stuff and figuring out how things work. But if I had 20 copies of me, I'm never going to be able to make a headset. I just don't possess the skills necessary to do that. And if I try to take the time to learn all the stuff that I need to do, the idea that I have isn't going to be valuable by the time it gets to market. All my concepts are going to be old and outdated. You need to have people who are professional and who are skilled at the things that you need them to be right now. And knowing who those people are and having them in your network will help you a lot. So we're all great at certain things. We're all not so great at other things. start figuring out what those things are for you, and start figuring out what those things are for the people that you hang out with, and start trying to meet people that fill sectors that you don't necessarily have strengths in. If you don't know any artists, but at some point in your life, you know that you're going to need some music, or you're going to need someone who's good at graphic design, it's better to try and find them while you're in high school or in your college, so that you have friends in that space, versus being up against it when you're in the middle of crunch and you're trying to just hire someone blindly and not know if they're going to be able to be a good fit for your company or your project. Even in the event that you are just a super great generalist and you're good at a number of different things, that's going to create some other problems. Like, you never want to allow your project to have a single point of failure, and you never want you yourself to become a single point of failure. And what I mean by that is, if you become so important to a particular company or a particular project that it all hinges on you, that's not good for your mental health. It's not good for the project itself, and it's not going to be great for your career. It seems counterintuitive that if you're super valuable at one spot and you're the reason everything works, you'd figure that the company would reward you for that. But it also happens where if you're super good at doing one particular thing, but you don't necessarily like that, or you want to see what other options that you have or what other things you might be good at, the company is going to say you're too valuable doing the thing that you are doing right now in order to allow you to do those other things. So don't take all of the responsibilities from one particular discipline. Don't try to become that nexus point, because it makes it a lot harder for you to take vacations. It makes it a lot tougher on the company when you're sick. You don't want to ever have or be a point of failure. Like I say in the slide there, Rome wasn't built in a day. It also wasn't built by a person. Make sure that you have redundancy in your daily life, your daily work life, and make sure that you have redundancy in your project. Another thing that can happen is, because you are one person who's in charge of a particular thing or many things, we all have blind spots, and we all get tired of looking at our own work. And when we go over to review things, we can miss things. It's good to have a second or third or fourth set of eyeballs overseeing what you're doing, just to take a quick look to see if they see anything wrong. Another thing is, it's really easy to spot a dumb mistake, like if you misspell a word, or if you misspell your name, or you write 2 + 2 = 5 into a formula. It's super easy to spot that. What's not so easy to spot is when you make a really smart mistake, like you're trying to figure out the drop rate for an item, or you're trying to figure out discounts, and you don't notice that Microsoft Excel rounded something from 0.775 up to 8, and all of a sudden you've been charging 0.25% tax more than you're supposed to. The state's not going to like that. Your company's not going to like that, and that's a mistake that someone probably could have caught if they would have just looked over your stuff. But if you're the one handling everything, all of that blame and all of that responsibility falls on you. And because human nature is to just sort of become desensitized to the same stuff that we see over and over again and accept that it's fine, you're going to have more problems being the single source of trying to maintain everything. So we've gone through that. I think it's time for the next slide here. And that is how networking and how building an important team within your network is going to help you. So whenever you get a project that you're going to need multiple people on, one of the easiest things and the best things to do is to evaluate the project and to break it into component tasks, because everyone's good at a specific part. You don't need to have everyone trying to complete the project at once. That doesn't make any sense. That's why when they have robots do stuff in assembly lines, you don't have the robots all trying to just build one car. You don't have a robot that builds a car by itself. You have this one picks up the doors and puts it onto a car. This one puts the tires onto the car. Everyone is good at a specific discipline, and you have people in the disciplines that they're best at do that particular component of the job. Breaking the job into its component tasks is a very important part of what it's going to take to build a complex project. Next, you're going to try and find people who have strengths and skills that are applicable to the component tasks that you've broken everything down into. And one of the other things is that you want to find people with overlapping skills. This is what I was talking about with the single point of failure. You don't want to put all of the art burden on one person. You want to have them do most of the stuff. You want to have your lead artist lead that. You want the other artists that can help pitch in to maybe make like the little buttons on the website, or they're making icons. You want those people to be able to contribute part of that under the tutelage of the person that's doing the lead. And you don't want someone to have to just hire someone on your team that's just got one particular skill, because that's going to mean that they're pigeonholed into one responsibility. Once again, you've made them the single point of failure for this operation. And then lastly, you want to divide up the workload with everyone so that they've got work that they are skilled at, and they've also got work that's interesting to them. People will work better and people will enjoy their work more if it's a task that they find rewarding personally. And sometimes someone who has a passion for something is just going to put 150% of what you'd get out of a normal person into that work, just because it's something that they enjoy doing. And finding people that are passionate and skilled is basically, that's the unicorn in the workspace. If you find someone who really, really loves doing, data analysis or whatever, but they're also really good at it, you found someone that's going to be really good for your team for a long, long time. And that will allow you, once you've found all those people that are doing things that they like, and they're doing multiple things that they like, it allows you to overcome roadblocks that might be encountered if you only had one person there, because we're all humans. We're all going to hit snags sometimes. We're all going to draw a blank, especially in creative spaces where you can't just get past that mental situation where you can't figure out how to get to the next step. And so like having multiple people around is good to establish that that kind of chain of command where you're able to move forward even if one person is stuck. Moving on, this is key topic number 2. It's something that gets overlooked a lot, and it's luck. And what I want you to come away from this is that there's a concept in psychology that's called egocentric bias. They did a study at the beginning, or like once the COVID lockdowns had happened, to ask people who were in a married relationship whether the husband or the wife was doing more of the homeschooling, more of the tasks or whatever. And what came out was that 50% of men, husbands, thought that they were doing 50% were doing the half of the homeschooling, and 3% of the wives agreed with that. And that's not a slide on men overstating their responsibility. What they found was that when they went through a series of tasks, like who does more of the homeschooling, who does more of the housework, who starts more of the fights, when they added up the two numbers, they were always over 100%. And that's because you as a person will take in the information, the things that you're doing, and you place an oversized portion of the responsibility on them, because they're the things that happened. You don't know what happened outside of your own personal experience, and therefore, in your mind, they are much more a part of the whole than they actually might have been. So when you're recalling memories of things that happened in your past, like the first time you went to school or whatever, or the first time you did great on a project, the first time you really crushed one of those school reports, you're more likely to have forgotten the fact that your parents maybe helped out with some of this stuff, or that you had read a book and you don't remember who wrote that book, but reading that book, that the information that was in that book helped you out with this, report that you did really well on. And you don't necessarily factor in all those other inputs, because all that you remember is the stuff that you did, because it took all of your senses to do this. And so it has a more indelible impact on your memory. But it's important to note that luck is a big part of our daily lives. It plays a role in nearly every person-to-person interaction and relationship. And I'm talking about, like, luck has a role in dating. Luck has a role in your job interviews. Luck has a role with whether or not you and someone else become friends. Sometimes you're just there in the right situation in the right time. Sometimes you're the right person at the wrong time. That happens a lot in dating. You meet people and you think that you'd be a good match, but for whatever reason, at this point in your life or this point in their life, it's not a connection. And that can happen in job interviews too. If you find the perfect role for you to be in, but that company's already got someone there, you could be the absolute perfect fit for that job, just not right now. And knowing that will help you to understand that when you oversimplify some of these things and say, like, oh, people will say, just work hard and success will follow. That's not always true, because sometimes you can work as hard as anyone else out there. You can work harder than other people, but if no one's seeing it, or if you're not working in an effective way, luck might not put you in the position for you to be successful. So oversimplifying those tasks, dismissing and downplaying the effects that luck can have in the success of a person, can make that person feel way worse than they should. If we were upfront and honest about the fact that there was a role that luck plays, and that there isn't necessarily an 100% reproducible course of action that leads to success, we would be in a better place. We wouldn't necessarily consider that the reason that this person isn't successful, even though we see them working hard, is because of their some kind of deficiency that they have. They could just have not found the right spot. The other thing that's important about luck is that I don't want to overstate the importance of luck. This is a little known fact, but when FedEx was first starting out, they had gotten to the point where they were almost completely out of money. The owner had like $5,000 left, didn't have enough money to run the company for another week. So what did he do? He went to Vegas and he bet that money on blackjack, and he won, and he was up $27,000. Came back, that was enough money to run the company for another week, and that kind of domino effect, and he was able to keep the company afloat. Now, did that guy go back after the week ended and then play blackjack again to keep winning money? No, that's a terrible business strategy. He used the luck that he had that one time for his temporary success and played that into the continued success by having hard work, skill, a plan, and executing on all of that the way that he knew that he could. If you constantly rely on luck to save your bacon in a tough situation, you're going to run out of luck at some point. So, like I say here, luck is the way to get your foot in the door, but you're going to need hard work, skill, and perseverance to have continued success. And with that, I'd like to thank you all here for attending today. And if you have any questions, it's time for some questions.
If anyone has questions, feel free to type them in the chat or unmute yourself.
Feel free to ask about any stuff. You want to know about the video game industry, you want to know about how long it's taken me to get here. Ryan Kim has a question that says, what happens if a project is not received well in public? Sometimes, like from I'll answer this from both perspectives. Like if we have a headset, or if we have a keyboard or a mouse that at HyperX isn't received well, we'll do what's called a post-mortem. We'll kind of break down what factors that people in the world are saying about this. Why did this not go well? And we'll try and learn from that. You can learn as much, if not more, from your failures than you can learn from your successes. So we try to use that to build off of, and sometimes you're going to take a loss. You're not going to win 100% of the time. No sports team has been 100% victorious yet throughout their entire career. So you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You just have to make sure that you are taking notes about why you lost and expanding on that and building off of that. And then from a games perspective, sometimes that's a lot more painful. Like I've had companies go under because we spent a whole lot of time working on a game, and when that game didn't succeed like we needed it to, well, the company shut its doors. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity to learn. You've got one shot at success, and realizing that and trying to make sure that you're succeeding where you can, and you're really pushing for successes where you can find them is going to be like much more important in circumstances. Like startups are another way that works out. Thanks. It's Chan or Can. I'm glad to be of assistance here, as you guys are going to be part of the next generation of the workforce and doing all these cool things that we have to offer. Anything else, or I can just sort of give you a couple more stories there from my career. If you want me to expand upon anything that I discussed before, just let me know and I'll speak a little bit more. All right, so I'll I'm not seeing anything, so I'll just go into a little bit more about how I personally have experienced luck being a big factor in how things will work out. My career started in 1997 in the game industry. I wouldn't have gotten that job that started my video game career if it wouldn't have been for luck, because the guy that was doing the hiring for quality assurance, the game testers, he had previously had an experience where he wanted to hire someone who was the roommate of someone else who had applied for the job, but he didn't want to hire the second guy. So when he called the first guy, he's like, okay, you're hired. And then he called back, and that second guy obviously thought he was going to get the job because his roommate just got the job. And he had to tell that second guy, no, I can't hire you. You're not a good fit for the job. And when the first person that he did hire came in, he told him that his roommate was super mad and that he was so jealous that he had to get another roommate. He was in the process of finding a new apartment and everything because that split did not work out for them. Now, when I applied for this job at Squaresoft, it was me, myself, and two other roommates who had applied for the same job. My boss wanted to hire my roommate, but he wasn't sure about me and my third roommate. But because he had had this experience in the past of trying to hire a roommate and that working out terribly, he just hired all three of us. He wouldn't have normally considered hiring me for the job. As it turned out, I used the hard work, or I used that luck to get into the job. I built off of that. I worked hard. I was the hardest working person in the QA space. And my third roommate, he ended up being the smartest person there. He ended up maintaining the database and everything. He was super happy that he hired all of us. But I wouldn't have gotten into that position if it wasn't for the fact that I happened to luckily be part of this group that he wanted to hire. If it wasn't for my roommate being super qualified and being someone that he wanted to hire, there's no way that he would have hired the rest of us. So luck can help you get a foot in the door. You need to take advantage of that opportunity by building off of that with hard work and skill and performing well. Anything else? We're a little short on, or we're a little early here. So if you guys have any other questions, just feel free to ask, just anything that you want to know about.
If you guys aren't comfortable with typing into the public chat, you can also feel free to message me and I'll relay the question.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna bite. I won't poke fun of anyone. So they're all going to be building a website today for their ideal project. Is that what the task is?
Yep. Like they're all gonna try to make a headset and then make a website.
Cool. What kind of headsets do you guys like? What's the most important thing for a good headset for you guys? Comfort is really good. Sound quality, yeah, those are definitely two of the top points that we try and build into each of our headsets, because we do hear a lot of people that are asking for sound quality and comfort. Yeah, well, we've crushed the long battery life feature. We've got a headset out now, the Cloud Alpha Wireless, that has a 300-hour battery life. Durability is also a thing. Yeah, we've had issues with we've had some problems sometimes where the headset port, the little thing that you plug into the stereo thing, is too thin and it breaks sometimes. Portability, noise cancellation is another one. That's a really tricky thing to work on, because if you get the ANC wrong, you're just killing battery life without actually helping anyone. But those are some good features I see that you guys have. You're going to be making some pretty interesting headsets. What about what colors do you guys like out of your headsets? What colorways would you guys be looking for? All the colors. Black and white, RGB. So do you want a blue and pink combo, or are you just want blue and pink accents? Oh, cotton candy fade. All right. Yeah. I too, I agree that like we need to try and build in a few more like gradient flows on these headsets. I think those would look super cool. I think someone in the production department's got to figure out how to do that. Is that the solid colors are nice, but I'd like gradual stuff. That's kind of what we got with clothes now. So like it feels like that would be a natural extension of the style. Blue and white sounds pretty cool. We had a Cloud9 headset that was black and blue, but I think the blue and white would be a little bit better. What kind of benefits in game would you guys be looking for your headset or your to help you out with? Like, what are things that headsets do for you to make you better? 3D audio is cool. We have that in some of our higher end headsets, because once again, it's kind of tough, but there are software ways to do that. Input lag is definitely a concern when you're talking about wireless. That's why people don't like to play on earbuds. You miss a shot because the lag was 100 milliseconds too long, which doesn't seem like it should be a thing. But now you guys have so much faster reflexes than we're accounting for. Input lag is definitely a key. And hopefully in the coming years we figure out like how to trim that down a lot more than it is. I think the current fastest thing that we have right now in terms of wireless, we've got the mixed buds that'll do 24 milliseconds if you have the low latency Bluetooth codec hooked up. But yeah, those are all potential benefits. What about stuff like the ability to make you feel more immersed in the game because of the 3D audio, not just the fact that you're able to hear where enemies are coming from, but if you hear like you're on a weird planet and you can hear like the alien wildlife in the background, or if you're hearing the music and experiencing it in an entirely different way. So Chan, or Can, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, brings up an important point. Working with partnerships, the developers, is a key thing. And like I said, this comes back to networking. Sometimes you just have you happen to know someone who works at a developer and you're like, oh, cool. can we incorporate your game, or find a way to incorporate our headset with your game? Maybe you build in better sound processing for our headset, or what can we do to tune our headset so that it better works with your game, and we come up with sound profiles for that stuff. So working with developers for stuff like lighting profiles, where you have a concept for the lights on your keyboard or your mouse to do particular things when you fire off. Sometimes that can be a really interesting ask for a developer and getting a partnership going. Okay, John. I figured you might be Turkish just because of Emre Can, who used to play in the British Premier League. So I didn't see the glyph though. So, but yeah, trying to get those companies to establish relationships with us to build kind of like better sound optimization with their headsets is an interesting thing. So yeah, you've got like a lot of good ideas for what you want to do with your headset features and to build your ideal headset. Have you guys thought about what price you would charge for your optimal headset? $80 to $120. So one of the things that you can look at to try and determine whether or not your headset will have success at a given price point is to look at competitor headsets in that space. Are you offering the same things as a headset in that space? Are you offering a little bit more? Do you think that you can find a way to get the price of the cost of building that headset down where you can include these extra features while still beating the competition? Or do you just have a better implementation of the features that you are presenting than they do? Because there's so much choice in the market. Like if you just wanted a bullet list of features, you could buy one of those cheap knockoff headsets from Alibaba and get like what supposedly is 7.1 and supposedly comfortable headsets and, you know, game-changing audio or whatever, and then find out that it works for like 3 days and then it falls apart. So yeah, figuring out what exactly the margins that you have and what you can do to differentiate yourself from the competitors is an important point for whether or not you and your headset will have success. Yeah, and like John says, you can't really price your budget 300 or your budget headset for $300. So feature sets are important. How competent you deliver the features in your feature set are important, and what the market has basically informed the market what it'll pay. Like if you don't see 7.1 headsets selling for all that much, then maybe 7.1 headsets don't have a premium attached to that feature set. It's interesting. It's a constant play of an evolving landscape, because certain features that were great 3 years ago, everyone sort of takes them for granted now, and you're going to have to find a new way to make your product sing. Yeah, those are all good factors. You guys have a good you guys all have good direction for where you want to take these products. These are good first steps. Now, how would you market your headset? What's the target demographic that you're trying to hit with your cool headset? Are you trying to make it for celebrities? Are you trying to hit athletes? Are you trying to hit gamers? So which audience would you be marketing to? Would you be marketing to the people who stream on Twitch? Would you be trying to be like Beats? Would you be trying to get like, you know, pro athletes to walk out of the tunnel with your headset? Where would you be spending your marketing money? Because yeah, that's one of those things that we look into. Yeah, it's the game developers, gamers, and producers are pretty good targets, and that's where we started. A lot of HyperX, the initial play when we first started getting people on board. We got the esports teams that were competing at very high levels to show that our products helped the people at the very best of their game. And then developers are the people who have to work with this stuff the most, and they see the benefits of having better sound and better audio from their games. And when they realize that you are prioritizing the same things that they are, they'll start working with you a little bit better. Streamers and content creators are good targets as well, because people are watching them play video games. And if they're wearing your headset, that's a great piece of branding that's right in front of them the whole time. But one of the things to factor in is that everyone thinks they can stream now. You have probably 100,000 people at any given point in time who are streaming, and that means that the people at the top want a whole lot more money. So it's a matter of trying to figure out who are these people in the middle who are going to really support your product, rather than just take a bunch of money and be like, all right, yeah, I'll wear your headset occasionally or whatever. So spending those ad dollars doesn't necessarily mean that you get results, but having a clear vision with your marketing can lead you to get results even out of suboptimal plays. But yeah, marketing is a tricky discipline, and that's why we're hoping to open people's eyes to that at a ground level, because it's not always about producing the best product, because sometimes the best product can lose. It's about trying to reach out and make a connection with the fans, make a connection with your customers, and get them to not just buy into the product, but that you guys are offering a particular lifestyle, that we share the same values, we share the same passions, and that you're going to try and impart that to the customer. All right, we're up on like 10:50 now. So if no one has any more questions, I feel like this would probably be a good time for a break and for you guys to kind of let this percolate before I think Aiden is coming up next to tell you a little bit about the world of data as it applies to marketing and building an interesting website.
Great. Thank you, Clayton. Your presentation was very insightful, and we all definitely enjoyed learning from you. Teamwork is essential for success, and many great projects have failed due to lack of teamwork. So I hope you all remember Clayton's tips and experiences. Thank you again. And for our attendees, you may now return to continue working on your projects, and we'll see you in an hour and 10 minutes for our next presentation. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.